Hello. 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 Welcome to the stream. We're going to be drinking some matcha this morning. Very excited for. You may notice me pouring water. This happened a couple times recently in the last stream. I've been pouring my water too quickly. I'm not letting it settle down before I'm pouring it. Indication of my overexcitement sometimes. Generally, I don't want the water to be spitting or spurting out because that's just it can burn me. Don't want that. So I've got to be a little bit more careful sometimes. Warmed up my bowl this morning. I am excited, and I like matcha because generally it's going to make me more excited. Matcha is a very exciting tea. It brings me lots of joy. One of my favorite teas. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. And this is some special matcha from Oika. Hello, hello, hello. First thing we do is use this Sanko matcha bowl. This is a very important and interesting bowl. I actually have no experience with matcha, with regular matcha brewing, so I've never used a traditional matcha bowl. But I do know that this Sanko matcha bowl, this is it's called a obsidian bowl from Sanko matcha. It's very easy to use, and you can get a very good tea foam from the matcha bowl. So we're going to do a little demonstration of that. That demonstration is just me getting my fix of matcha. And we're drinking some fresh matcha from Oika. Oika makes fresh matcha in America. Freshly ground. Ground to order. Wow, that smells amazing. Welcome, welcome. Do you have some matcha you can drink today with me? See this matcha? Now we gotta be careful not to spill the matcha everywhere. It's probably not highly visible. So I'm putting it through this mesh first. And this is quite a pleasant part of the experience. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's the sound. I'll try to share some of this sound, but it's a great sound and it's a great feeling and it just looks nice. Something about scraping this. And again, I've never had any traditional matcha before. I've never done a traditional matcha ceremony. I don't know exactly how things are done traditionally. Listen to this. Can you hear that? Hey, is that audible? I don't think you can. There's a particular sound to it, and it sounds very pleasant. It's my green matcha. Look at that. Um, so I got some hot water, and I need to put that hot water into my matcha. And then I've got a whisk, and I need to whisk my matcha. It's that simple. And then once I'm done with the matcha, there will be more. Got more planned. Got a baozhong I want to dry. Just a splash of water. So what makes this matcha bowl a little bit special is that it's elongated. And because it's elongated, that means that I can easily whisk in one direction. It's called one-dimensional brewing, one-dimensional whisking. What I mean by one direction is it spilled some. Wow, spilled a little bit of matcha on me. What I mean by one direction is that usually you have a bowl. It's like a bowl shape. It's a bowl shape, and you kind of whisk in a W-like shape. So you're whisking in multiple dimensions, at least two dimensions, and then sometimes you have to raise the matcha whisk also. So you're whisking in three dimensions. It's a very complicated motion, and you've got to whisk it somewhat vigorously. It's complex. With this bowl, you only whisk left and right, and the bowl, since it's tall, it'll kind of slosh onto itself, and that covers the need to raise up and down, and you don't even have other directions to go into. Here's my matcha. I believe I used less water than I'm used to. I want that to be visible without me spilling it. Okay, I'm going for it. That's good. It made me wince a little bit. It always gets my ears activated. When I drink matcha, it's like it's doing something to my throat immediately, and it just like hits my ears, and it just makes them feel very. I don't know what it is. It's like relaxing and opening up. It's very, very thick. Very, much more, very brothy. Mostly savory. So I'm using this nice long elongated matcha bowl. I have fresh matcha. The matcha is from Oika, freshly ground matcha. And then I'm using water that is called empirical water. That's the name of the product. It's curated water, designed water. Designed water would be the better term. It's designed water. It's water that a person designed to make seem it's similar to a water that would be from a glacier. Mimicking glacial water, but specifically designed for tea and coffee. Okay, that's the matcha. Matcha's done. Worst part about matcha is that it's over so quickly, but it's so delicious. And I always want more. Worst part. All right. Next step is some baozhong. Now, as the matcha works its way through my entire system, I'm going to try to pay attention and understand and feel the types of excitement that I'm feeling from the matcha and understand what it does, what effect does it have on me. I understand some of the effect in that I've had matcha with I've had matcha recently a lot. I've had a lot of matcha recently and it's been making me very excited. I've noticed that it feels like I just start bouncing off the walls. Um, start having fun with some of my friends. It's a good time. But I'm almost never paying attention to specifically what's happening in the body or if there are any specific mental effects going on. I'm not usually paying attention to that. Hello, welcome, welcome. And now I've got some baozhong. So oolong tea that's pretty green. I have a feeling of I have a visual sensation. It feels like things are coming towards me. It's like you ever play Guitar Hero for a long time? Does it ever happen to you? You play Guitar Hero and the screen is always like coming towards you. You know what I mean? And then at some point you get like so accustomed to it that when you look away from the screen, you feel that you still have that sensation of the the screen coming towards you. There's something weird about eyes. It's not probably not the eyes, but you know what I mean. It's something weird about the visual system in that it accustoms itself to movement. I believe the sense of motion is different from the visual sense. The visual sense of motion is distinct from other visual senses. Like you have the visual sense of motion, then you have the visual sense of color, for example, and then you have the visual sense of contrast, whatever. There might be more distinctions or different distinctions. I don't actually know what they all are, but the movement distinction is one of them, I think. So that if you notice something moving a lot, your eyes get accustomed to it or something, and then when you look at something that's not moving, then it looks like it's moving. It's weird. That to say, I feel like it seems like things are moving closer to me at this very moment. I used to do a, I guess it's a type of walking meditation. It wasn't really, it was just I was walking in a park, but I would walk very slowly and I would look at my feet. You know, typical um, Ohio Riz type thing. I'm walking around looking at my feet, walking very slowly through a park. And as you walk, if you're looking at your feet, it looks like things are coming towards you because you're looking down and you're moving in that direction and then the things are coming towards you. So I would do that and walk around for some time, maybe an hour or so. Long, beautiful walk in the park. And then I would have that visual effect. If I sit down at a park bench and I just look at the trees or something, it looks like everything is coming towards me. It's a very strange effect. Very pleasant. Highly recommended. I liked it. Also, just going for a walk in a park is pleasant in itself. So we got this baozhong here. Smells a bit like corn. Smells a bit like some type of pear candy. Corn and pear candy. It's fairly matte green. It's got a dark forest green to it, but it's also got some parts that are yellow. Realizing I almost never talk about the color. If I were to write these things down in the systematic format, I usually note the color because that's on my list of things to note. But if I'm not writing things down systematically, I often just don't mention the color of the leaves in the beginning, of the leaves as they continue. I don't mention the color of the liquid here. This like yellow, pale yellow, green color here. It's got a lot of sediment. A whole lot of sediment. See that there? It may be hard to see because the sediment. It's easy to see when you look up from 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 above or below. You can see all the sediment in there. There's a whole lot of sediment. This is the end of the tea. So I had the tea, and usually there's a. That's delicious. There's an end to the tea. I have a tea I put into a canister, and then at the end of the canister, there's the end of the tea. I call that the end of the tea. I don't know if that's the name that people call the end of the tea, but that's the end of the tea. I call it the end of the tea. So sometimes there's the end of the tea, and when usually at the end of the tea is when you get a lot more tea dust than typical. And since there's a lot of tea dust, that turns into a lot of sediment. Okay, so I'm feeling a little bit I'm feeling more excited. I mentioned that before. I'm feeling excited. I drank a lot of matcha. I'm feeling excited. I don't even think it was a lot of matcha, but I drank some matcha and I'm excited. I'm going to be drinking more baozhong. I'm feeling a little bit my motor control seems to be a little bit stuttery. Maybe twitchy is another word to go for it. Oh, that's good. That's good. Pear. I had pear in the smelling, in the scent. I smelled pear. Definitely pear. It's also a little spicy. It's got some spiciness to it. I'm like feeling it all over the tongue. It's got a little bit of activity, but it feels like spiciness. Like it's kind of cool because it has also this kind of MSG type of feeling to it or taste to it. So the spiciness kind of it feels like if you ever had Doritos that are hot or like Cheetos that are hot, that type of flavor, that kind of thing, like that, where there's a lot of MSG and there's that spiciness, whatever is added to make it spicy. It tastes like that. Smooth and light and round, this kind of pear flavor. Building aftertaste already. You can feel it really strongly in the throat, coming up into the sinuses as I'm breathing in and out. Chest feeling nice and warm. That was a rinse, by the way. Generally, generally people, um, whoever these people are they in the room? I don't know. They're people who generally rinse their tea. Like they'll pour water through their tea, pour the water out of their tea, having tea liquid, and then they pour that away, giving it to the spirits or whatever. I don't know what they're doing with it. But it opens up the tea leaves. It does something. It makes the next teas better. Usually, when you have the first tea, the next teas are better if you keep doing it over and over again. So there is some reason to do it, but you can also just drink it. And I just drank a little bit of it, and I liked it. I drank the rinse, and I liked it. That's hilarious. I drank the rinse, and I liked it. Am I the only one who's finding that hilarious? That is amazing. I have recently I've been I've been falling into a marketing hole. I've been falling into a marketing hole from KSI. Been listening to some music. I've been watching people troll KSI in his new song, and I gotta say I liked it when I first heard it. I liked it a lot when I first heard it, in fact, and then I kept hearing it, and I kept hearing it, and I just kept liking it even more. And now, for the last 2 days, I'm like constantly thinking of this song. The tea I'm brewing is a baozhong right now. I had a matcha a little bit earlier, so it might be why I'm a little excited. But I had a baozhong. I'm drinking a baozhong right now. So I've been thinking about this song, and it just stays in my mind all day. Whoa, 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 whoa. This is how the story goes. Uh, there's something about it, the writing of this song is just amazing. It's just from the screen to the ring to the. It's not important. I don't know why I'm talking. I don't need to be talking about KSI song. It's not really not important at all. We're gonna drop the topic abruptly as I thought of it. I thought about another song. I thought about Katy Perry for a moment, giving me a slight bit of relief from the KSI song, but now I'm thinking about KSI again. So this baozhong, it's very nice, very soft, very round, very smooth. It's got quite a lot of that pear feeling to it. It still has that spiciness to it. Mm. Let's see what else we got. So as I said, this is the end of the tea. This is the last bit of the tea that I had, and I've been drinking about. I've been. It's been. There's a lot of sediment. So since there's a lot of sediment, there's a bit of a harshness to it. There's a bit more of a bite to it, which I do like. Instructions for tea. As for instructions, I don't know much about tea in terms of I drink the tea. If someone's asking about instructions for the tea, I usually drink tea in a Chinese style. It's pretty similar Chinese brewing. Um, so I can talk about that brewing. If the tea is the same as that, I can tell you a lot about that, and I can tell you about it right now. If it's something different, I wouldn't know. I do know that the most important aspect, one of the most important aspects of tea, is the water. The water is extremely, extremely important. I like to design my own water. And these days I'm following the design of a particular water called empirical water by a guy named Arby. Arby's cool, he makes nice water. Fukumishi, Sincha, okay, Sincha. You have no idea how to brew Sincha correctly. Well, using nice water is a good step. Using cold water, if you can get water that's, not boiling, you want a lot of leaf. If you're drinking a Sincha, you're going to want a lot of tea leaves. This much tea leaves will do. Something like 4 grams of leaf and something like 40 milliliters of water. You're going to want a really high leaf to water ratio. When I say like 40 milliliters is like a tiny cup like this, you're going to want a tiny cup like this full of water. That's going to be like 80 degrees Celsius. 170 degrees Fahrenheit. And then 4 grams of leaf. Let it brew for a minute. It'll be strong. It'll be nice. The softness. All right, I'm gonna think about how I'm feeling for a moment. Very pleasant. There's quite a lot of excitement. It's mostly bodily. There's not a lot of energy happening. The body seems to be kind of. I do feel I'm scattered. Oh, my focus is bouncing everywhere. This is what's happening. Right? I'm trying to pay attention to one thing and then it's just jumping to another thing. So I maybe not be able to pay. I may not be able to notice. Okay, I'm feeling twitchy, I believe. I'm feeling. I feel like I want to run. Like I want to run for joy, with excitement. Have you ever seen The Mask, the movie The Mask from the 90s, The Mask? Jim Carrey, The Mask? He puts on a mask, a green mask. It's symbolically meaning matcha. That's what the movie is about. So I'm feeling like really small uh, jitters, but it's like full, full. It's not. It's like the full body, but it's also just seemed like the whole everything, everything that I'm experiencing. It just got this slight jitter, and it seems like it's rhythmic. You see how I'm kind of the symbolically doing it with my hand, and it's kind of it's got a rhythm to it. So I've got these jitters of my whole experience, and I want to move. I want to run, and I'm very happy. I'm very alert. I'm able to focus on things, but I'm immediately wanting to switch focus to something else. Still quite a lot of taste going on here. Long aftertaste. Pear, lovely pear, mostly in the throat. Not going up to the sinuses today, or anymore rather. Haven't been noting the pores. I've been having pour. I'm pouring, and my pouring is not very good. Well, the pouring is good. I'm an expert at it. The pouring's great. What I mean is that the flow is not happening well. Okay, I have got the tea is like packed pretty well. So since there's so much tea and it's slightly overpacked, I don't think did I measure it. I don't remember if I measured how much tea I have, but there's a lot of tea here. It's a little bit overpacked, and I need to be a little bit more careful with how I'm placing my lid so that I can pour more smoothly. But I'm not pouring very smoothly, and I've got a lot of tea sticking to the top of the lid, which also contributes to it not pouring very smoothly, I think. The color is much more like saturated. It's like radiating kind of a chartreuse neon color. The spiciness is really rising with this. It's got a lot of the spiciness. Again, it's like Takis. It's more specifically like Takis, more so than Doritos or Cheetos. More specifically like Takis. That's what I'm tasting right now. It's pretty thick, kind of viscous type tea. It's got a viscosity to it. I didn't mention this, but the tea is from floating leaves tea, baozhong from floating leaves tea, harvested this winter, last winter, 2023 winter, winter tea. Feeling more of this. I want to move. It's a nice feeling. I want to move a lot, but then I'm feeling like the world around me, the external world is nice and stable, which is a good feeling. Now it's becoming more. It's like it's solid. I like it. I like it being solid, and I want to move through it. I want to frolic through the world. I want to dance in this beautiful world that is around me. My movement feels like it's becoming more fluid. A nice simple transition. All right. That's amazing. I'm feeling great. So there's a pleasurable sensation. There's just the pleasant, the energy is kind of there's a something is coming more quickly, something is becoming more pronounced, and I'm feeling like I'm slowing down quite a lot, and it just feels great. I moved over a cliff into something that's very delightful. All right, I'm ending my TikTok stream. Bye bye, TikTok. It was fun. Continuing all the other streams. Whew. There's something about TikTok. It has a there's a lot of flashingness going on with the TikTok, and I don't want the flashingness. I want to stare into the distance as I frolic. Slightly better pour. Look at that. Slightly better pour. I don't know how much you can see of this pour. The pour has become slightly better. That was more of a it was more of a narrow pour. It was like a single stream coming out. But a single stream is better than multiple streams going in all these different directions. But it wasn't like it wasn't this. Usually I want like a V stream, but this was like a just like a singular stream. It'll do for now. It was a nice pour. So I'm feeling more again, so with the movements, I just want to move the body around in all these different directions. When I'm breathing, I want to kind of, I just want to breathe in and breathe out like that. And that feels very nice. I am feeling elated, might be a good word for it. There's just like, it's just very pleasant. And I think it's difficult to pay attention to certain things. As I said before, it was difficult. Like I pay attention to something and want to move to something else. I want to move to something else. Even though I'm feeling more, things have seemingly slowed down quite a bit. But if I try to focus on something, I just feel very pleasant immediately. And I feel so pleasant that I can't focus on the thing that I want to focus on. I start feeling on the pleasantness, and then my attention just scatters. It's great. It's great. I wish I could share it with everybody. A part of the stream is for me to um, demonstrate some of the things that I experience as I drink some of the teas that I drink. I drink teas every morning. I experience different things every morning. I really like it. I've been doing it for several years, maybe 6 years. I think 6 years is the amount of time that I've been drinking tea. Haven't been having the same experiences from the day one to the day now, but very early on, I was having very pleasant experiences. And I want to share it with my friends. I wanted to share it the first day I had it. I had some really bad tea from Amazon, but I loved it. Don't know why. I just loved it. I had it. It was a fun experience to go through all the steps and things. I bought all the stuff from Amazon. I bought a tray. I bought a tea set, and I bought some. I think it was a jasmine oolong, something like that. Some type of oolong. Yeah, jade. No, it was a pearl. Some type of jade. I think it's called jade pearl jasmine oolong, something of that nature. I don't know. I drank it. I thought, oh, that's kind of pleasant. That's interesting. That's nice. And then I just kept wanting to do more of that. I wanted to drink more and more of that. And then at some point, I had some flavors that were really cool. I got some tea from better vendors than Amazon. Amazon's not a vendor, but you get what I'm saying. Different places, not Amazon. And I thought, that's a really nice flavor. I like that flavor. I want more of that flavor. And then I started getting flavors that changed, and I thought, that's cool. These flavors are changing. I got different types of. I'm getting like a flavor that seems like chocolate at first, but then it changes to orange juice. I don't understand what's happening. Something going on in my mouth. I don't get it, but I like it. So I started doing more of that. And then I started having weird dreams. And I started having these weird experiences when I would be in bed. I would be in bed. And then I felt like everything stopped. Don't know how to describe it better than that, but I felt like everything stopped. I was lying in bed, about to go to sleep, and then just this feeling of everything being just gone or stopping, or I don't know. And I thought that was weird. That's strange. What's happening there? I don't know. I talked to one of my friends. I said, have you ever felt like everything just stopped or went away or disappeared? And he said, you might be having a stroke. I thought, yeah, maybe that's true. I don't know. I was having these weird experiences. I was drinking a lot of tea. I was having these weird experiences. And then at some point, I started having more weird experiences. And they were a little bit less alarming than the first weird experiences. But then I enjoyed it very much. And now I drink tea every morning, and I have weird experiences every morning, and I like them every morning, and I want to share it with some of my friends every morning, but I can't do that every morning because I don't know how to communicate to people, friends or people, anybody in general, how cool this stuff is. And it has a lasting effect. It's more than just the acute effect of what happens in the moment, because that's very fun and interesting. But then there's these long-term effects. What's the opposite of acute? Obtuse? That doesn't make any sense. That's not right. I'm having obtuse effects from tea? That doesn't make any sense. That's not how it goes, is it? I guess acute and obtuse are triangle things, but acute is something. A chronic? Maybe chronic. That sounds bad. I'm having chronic effects from tea. I'm terminally affected by the tea. That might be true, okay? I'm terminally affected by the tea. I've been chronically stricken by the tea. That might be an accurate way of putting it, but that's not the way that I want to put it. Anyway, there are longer term effects. There are the acute effects they're very fun and exciting sometimes, and sometimes they're deeply relaxing, and you feel these things that are profound and interesting, maybe. But then there are the longer term effects, and the longer term effects are the effects that are the best effects. Those are the ones that I really want to share to people. But maybe they're not shareable. And maybe they're already available. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like it's always there. Like there's this wide field of experiences that are always available at all times. You can always just flip through them and choose which one you want. Which one do you want? Well, today I want excitement. That's why I got some matcha. So I got some matcha and I got this baozhong, and I'm going. I was gonna say I'm going hard, but I'm not going that hard. It's just a little bit. I'm just having a little bit. All right. I had a very reasonable amount of tea this morning. Okay. Okay, officer. Okay. I only had one drink. Okay, maybe I had two drinks. I had two drinks. I had maybe, I didn't measure the matcha actually. I know I didn't measure the matcha. I think I had 4 grams of matcha. No, it wasn't 4 grams. Maybe it was 3 grams of matcha. Maybe it was 2 grams. I had a small amount of matcha. Okay, it wasn't that much. And then for this baozhong, I'm having 6 grams of the baozhong. Okay, that is a lot. I'll give you that one. That is a lot, and a lot of it was also broken leaves. When you have the broken leaves make it more strong, which is good in some cases. If you have nice tea and you've got broken leaves, you get effects that are strong and you like it. If you have bad tea and you've got broken leaves, like a tea bag, that's a whole different story. Okay, that's a whole different story. It's not as good. I remember this time back in the day, I had some tea and I had this idea. And I still have the idea theoretically, but it's been disproven. It's been disproven. Okay, but I have the idea theoretically. All right, I like the idea that it doesn't really matter what type of tea that you have. It's all about the attention that you give to the tea, and you can use anything. Any tea, okay? A Freudian slip there. Any tea. And just pay attention to any tea, and then you'll get similar effects, and it'll be great, and you'll enjoy it. And it's great, it's amazing. Oh, isn't that cool? I can just use anything. And then I wanted to test it. And how did I test it? I started using less tea, and it worked really well. I started using 1 leaf of tea, and it was amazing. A single leaf of tea, you still get pretty similar effects. I did water for maybe a couple days. Well, it's great. I can sit down and drink water, and then I can go through all the motions of drinking tea and just paying attention to each steep, and it feels amazing, and it warms the soul, and you feel like $1,000,000. And then I got some tea bags. And then I got some tea bags. And then I got some tea bags. I started brewing tea bags and the way that I like to brew tea. And I thought, wow, this is great. I'm brewing with tea bags. I can use anything. And then I drank. And then my stomach started to turn. And then my head started to hurt. And then I started to feel the crushing. Tea bags didn't work. Tea bags didn't work, okay? You can use anything, but you can't use tea bags. I'm sorry, everything is acceptable, but not tea bags. As you pay attention to anything in the world, you can have these beautiful experiences, but if you have tea bags, it won't work. I stopped drinking tea bags, okay? Maybe not everything. Oh, this is good. It's just this this is weird because I've been drinking the same tea for a while, but as it's cooling down, I'm getting a little bit of something different here. It's starting to taste like citrus. It's starting to taste like citrus. It's getting a little bit of a spritz going on to it. It's feeling like I'm drinking. It feels like I'm drinking like a Sprite type of thing, with a little bit of carbonation and a little bit of that lemon liminess going on. That's delicious. That's refreshing. Spilled some of my tea here, and it's smelling not. It's smelling a little bit more like dull and woody. Not so much of the fresh, refreshing spritziness. But that's tasty. Let's get a little more. I feel like I'm running out of water already. Did I drink that much? Did I drinking that fast? I feel like I've been drinking slowly. Have I been drinking slowly? No. I've had. I don't know how many steeps I've had, but I had matcha before, so that might be a contributing factor to how fast I think I'm drinking and how much I'm actually drinking. I'm usually able to get 7 or 8 steeps, I think, of my water before it runs out, but I'm feeling like it's very low. My kettle feels kind of light right now. Something's afoot. the natural cutoff of only having a kettle that holds, I believe, 1.5 liters. I maybe should measure that one day. I have never measured it. I have a scale I can measure how much water I put into my kettle. It's a good idea. Smart idea. Thank you for that one. I gotta measure how much water I put in my kettle so I know how much I actually put into it. And I could also just count my steeps and I know how much I'm drinking, but whatever. I'll just count my kettle. Count the kettle. I'm feeling very pleasant. I don't know. It might be obvious. Maybe you can see auditorily by my speaking how well I'm feeling, how excited, how energetic. This is the effect of the TL, the acute effect. I remember I was talking about the acute and obtuse effects. I don't know what I was going on about, all right? Maybe you get the idea. I just like tea, all right? I just like tea and I want to share it with my friends. You're my friends. I want you to drink tea with me. It's a fun activity. All right. I'm gonna see if I get a nice pour. All right, I gotta make sure that you guys can see my pour. Check me out. I think I'm gonna get a good one. A fine pour. Wasn't a great, but a fine pour. Right shape. Flow was, it was flowing, but it was a little stuttery. The more even flow, the better. For me, at least, that's what I want. I want the even flow. But sometimes it gets a little jittery. That's okay too. That's okay too. I'm noticing that my cup also feels lighter, and I know how much water I put into the cup. I can see the liquid in the cup. Maybe, just maybe there's another reason why everything feels lighter. I hadn't considered that. Maybe there is enough water for my tea if I can drink more steeps, and I'm just feeling more. Can I just lift things and feel if they feel lighter than normal? I guess I don't. I've never just lifted all the things around my room to get a. How do I benchmark how light something feels? I don't know. Okay, I'm thinking. I'm thinking that it is possibly an effect of the tea, or this is a mental. You might get a mental effect here of feeling things that feel lighter. Obviously, this happens if you lift something that feels heavy, in one mind state, and then you go to a different mind state and you lift it and it feels lighter. That's a very easy thing to imagine and conceive of. So perhaps drinking a certain tea might make me feel like things are lighter around me if I'm moving them. I have never considered that. I'm gonna have to write that down. I'm gonna have to write that down. That's a good idea. I have a list to write this down, and I don't. I found it. I found it. Crisis averted. I found it. Okay, it was easy to find. I thought it wasn't easy to find. I thought I was having trouble, but I wasn't having trouble. It was easy to find. I found it. Added to the list. Okay, we're gonna do one more steep, one more steep, and then and then still has a lot of this peach, no, plum, no, pear. That was weird. That was weird. Another thing I haven't thought about. Word associations or concept associations. So for some reason I just had this moment, a second ago, I had word associations. I had a word slip. What do you call that? I don't know. Word associations. I accidentally, it was a malapropism. Is that the right word? It was a misspeak. I misspoke a word, but the reason why I misspoke the word, I don't know if it's the reason, but I misspoke a word that had a similarity. I did it twice, and the similarity was that it started with the letter P. And that seems like a weird thing to do. What type of word associations is a P? I had a linguistic word association. I had a grammatical, see, now I'm having a different word association issue, right? Now I'm doing, I'll have to describe both of these. I don't know how to. Okay, the first one is a spelling word association. I was mixing up words that start with the same letter. Spelling association. Alphabetical. I don't know how to describe this. Whatever. And the second one, I was trying to say spelling, but I said grammatical. And then I said also something else, linguistic, which I suppose are in the similar category. These are similar categories. So I think the first one would have been well, they're both metaphor. They're both things that could be switched out. Okay. So I like to think about these word associations sometimes. All right. If we look at Roman Jacobson's, I don't remember the name of it. There's a paper that Roman Jacobson wrote about the poles of metaphor and metonymy. And these are these are associations in the mind. These are mental associations that are generally, you can just think of them as word association. They're concept associations. And you have things that are metaphors and you have things that are metonymies. And a metaphor is something that could be replaced with another thing, like a peach and a pear are both fruits that start with the letter P and they can be replaced with each other. And then you have things that are metonymies, which are continuations of something. So you have a continuation of the concept. So if I thought about a pear, instead of thinking of a pear, I might think of a stem, or I might think of the branch or tree or something like that. It's a continuation of the concept. Instead of a fruit, I'm thinking of a part of the fruit. If I'm thinking of, instead of a fruit, I'm thinking of a seed. And so it's a metonymy metaphor. But if I'm thinking of spelling and I use the word linguistic, linguistic is a part of linguistic. I don't know. I don't know how these things work. I haven't thought about metaphors and metonymies in a long time. I haven't thought about word associations in a while. But it's a specific word association that I just had. I don't think it matters. However, I do wonder now, because I thought about that a second ago. I wonder if there are different states of mind that you can induce that make you more likely to think in terms of metaphor or thinking more in terms of metonymy. So, Roman Jacobson, the guy who wrote this paper, and this is a paper about, I guess it's about psychology, but it's also about linguistics. And somehow it's also related to art. I read this I have a book about critical theory, so I read this in the book about critical theory, and it's about how to analyze works of art, critical analysis of art criticism. It's an art criticism book, and this person, Roman Jacobson, wrote about metaphor and metonymy, and he writes about essentially people who have aphasia. Aphasia. This is a type of, I don't know what aphasia is. I might have to look that up because I don't remember. I think it's a loss of words. Like there are some people who can't speak certain words, who have trouble speaking about certain things. And it's not about certain things, but they just can't speak, right? Something like that. I don't really remember. Aphasia, some parts of their brain are not working, so they can't speak in certain ways. Anyway, what happens is that when they want to say a certain word, they have the thing that I just had, where you want to say, you want to think, you're thinking of something. I'm thinking about pears, and I want to say pears, but that word doesn't come to mind first. Another word comes to mind. You know, I'm thinking about spaghetti, but I can't really remember spaghetti, so I start saying things like linguine. Is linguine a noodle? I start saying things like, now I can't think of noodles. But I'm thinking about other things. So I'm thinking about plates. I'm thinking about meatballs. I'm thinking about forks. I'm thinking about swirling a fork. So these are metonymy. I'm in the mindset of thinking of metonymies. If I think about spaghetti, I'm thinking about the continuation of spaghetti. If you have spaghetti, you assume that in addition to the spaghetti, in continuation with the spaghetti, you get meatballs, you get tomato sauce, you get the forks, and you swirl it. You get a little plate. You put spaghetti on a plate or a bowl. You get a little plate. So that's one mind state. If you do the word association with spaghetti, you do metonymy there. And then the other mind state is you start thinking about other noodles, like macaroni, like ramen, like, oh, this is so difficult. Why is this so difficult for me? This is the mind state that I'm in. I'm thinking about continuations and not metaphor. This is the mind state. I don't understand it. Anyway, anyway, maybe there's a particular state of mind that a person can get into that makes them more likely or more attuned to thinking of metaphors versus thinking of metonymies, thinking of things that are replacing the word association versus things that are continuing the word association. Perhaps indeed. And an interesting aspect of this is art criticism, of course. An art criticism book, so it's about art. It's art, word association, symbolism, and art. So with the art, I don't know if I can describe this at the moment because I'm a little scattered. But a major part of it is that you use something that is a continuation of, you use something that is a metonymy, but you use it as a replacement, which is in this case called using a metonymy. It's not called anything. It's using a metonymy as a metaphor. So if I have a, metaphorically speaking, if I'm thinking in terms of metaphor, I can talk about eating a bowl of spaghetti or plate. I could talk about eating spaghetti. But if I want to be poetic about it, then I could talk about eating meatballs with a fork that swirls the meatballs. You see, because the meatballs are metonymy and the fork swirling things is another metonymy, and I'm using the metonymy, a continuation, as a replacement for spaghetti. I'm not mentioning spaghetti, I'm replacing it with a metonymy. That's poetic language. Does that make sense? Or I can do the opposite. I can think of something that's a metaphor and use it as a metonymy. So I'm talking about eating spaghetti, but I can say I have spaghetti and I have it with other things that are metonymies. It is a continuation. I'm eating spaghetti and I'm also eating the spaghetti with ramen on top with macaroni in it. All right, it's very poetic. Okay, I'm sure you don't get it, but it's very poetic. I assure you. I assure you it's very poetic. I assure you that was profound and interesting. I assure you. It makes more sense when you have better examples, all right? But I don't have good examples fresh on the mind at the moment for whatever reason. Wow, the tea is very more. It makes me. I want to drink more of it. You see, I drank a lot of. I didn't. I don't often. I feel like I have maybe never done that before. Just a second ago, I drank this whole cup. Did you see that? I don't know if you saw that. I had a whole cup. Had a whole cup, a whole 30 milliliters or 40 milliliters. I don't know how big this cup is. I drank a lot of it all in once. I drank it all. I drank it all in one gulp. Not something I've done very often, and I enjoyed it. But it just felt so. It feels so light, and I just want to drink more of it. This tea has the quality of me wanting to drink a lot of it. And that's a special quality that some teas have. So I had the goal of paying attention to the type of excitement that I was having, and I really don't know if I did that. No, maybe I did, right? I talked about word association. That's a big part of it. I talked about lightness. I think I did achieve my goal. I don't actually know. I may have to review. The type of excitement that I'm feeling is great. It's delicious. It's amazing. It does feel like I'm fly. I feel like I'm floating, but I'm not feeling a lot of energetic movement. So there's not much energetic movement. There's just the sense of pleasure, of happiness. It's very pleasant. There's the scatteredness that I'm feeling. I do have the ability to focus on things, and I want to focus on things. You see, sometimes when you have certain teas, you get the sense that you can't focus on something. It's just like the mind is so loose. Now it feels like the mind is not so loose. I can focus on something, but it just gets distracted very quickly. I focus on something, then I focus on something else, and then I focus on something else. That's a part of the excitement that I'm feeling right now. Things do feel more smooth. Where am I at now with the stability? The world feels stable. I still want to move. Moving feels so pleasant. Oh my goodness. And it's the rhythmic, the repetitive movement. Oh my. I wonder if there's a difference between wanting to feel something that's repetitive versus not so repetitive. Oh my gosh. This is amazing. It feels like, let me think about this. Okay, How do I make movements that are not repetitive? Okay, that feels good too. Is it the flowiness of it? Okay. I can't tell. I can't tell. I can't tell. But I do like the movements that are repetitive. So I'm feeling like, if you were like a baby and you were like being rockabye baby, on a treetop, that type of thing. If you were being whatever it is that people do to babies when they do the repetitive motion, that feels like that. It feels like that. It feels like that would be great. It feels like that would be amazing because it is. It feels great. Oh, but the world feels so stable. This is kind of strange. Everything feels very stable. Like unusually so. And oftentimes when I'm drinking tea, things become less stable, but this feels more stable than typical, more stable than like the normal state of stability of the world and my body. But if I move, but if I move a little bit, whoa, 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 my goodness. Oh my gosh. Yeah, my microphone, it was like sitting on my bowl. This is my waste bowl. Yeah. I got a waste bowl. This is where I pour all my tea when I'm done with the tea. My microphone stand was on it. How curious. Okay. I think I have achieved my goal. This too is very this is very amusing. I got tea dust. There's like tea. There's like a particle, little particulates. You can't see any of that. And there's little particulates. You can't see any of it. There's like particulates here, and I'm trying to scrape it all off. But I have to do this like repetitive motion to do it. Have you ever seen the movie Bringing Up Baby? This movie is this is an amazing movie. Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. And there's this part of the movie. She's walking around and I think she breaks a heel or she loses her shoe or something like that. One of her shoes fall off and then she is walking. She's walking. And she's walking. She's walking like this and it's so funny. It's a great movie. I really like that movie. Just like that. So everything is stable. Except me mentally, apparently. The world is stable, but slight repetitive motions are very pleasant and amusing. So that's an interesting type of excitement that I'm feeling. Okay, that's the end of the stream. We're finished. Thank you for watching. I had a lot of fun. I hope you had some fun too. Go drink some tea. It'll be good. Tea bags. We had to talk about tea bags. Okay, but go drink some tea. It'll be fun. You can have some experiences. Maybe like I'm having right now. All right. I'll talk to you later. Have fun. Goodbye. It was fun. Adios. Bye bye. I'm ending the stream right now. We're done here. This is great. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do this again. We're gonna have more streams because I like it a lot. So we're gonna